Course 3, Lesson 58, we are going to be solving percent problems with equations. We've done this a few times with our proportions, but we're going to use an equation this time. And when we do this, a percent of a whole is a part. So we represent that with an equation: percent times the whole equals the part. Sometimes we know a couple of these, but we'll always have one of them that we don't know. And oftentimes changing that percent into a decimal is going to be the easiest. Sometimes just know the fraction will be very helpful as well. So when we do this first one, 32 ounces is 25% of a gallon. How many ounces is a gallon? Well, in this, we know we have my percent. I have 25%. The question is, do we have the whole or do we have the part? And it says 32 ounces is 25% of a gallon. And we see that 32 ounces is the part. So I don't know the whole, but I do know the part, 32. Now in this case, I need to change my percent into a decimal or fraction. I'll change it to a decimal. 0.25 times W is equal to 32. So I'm going to divide by 32 on each side. So I'll write it up here. W equals 32 divided by 0.25, which shows us that W is 128 ounces. So a gallon is 128 ounces. All right. Another one. Mr. Nolen bought a used car for $8,500. The sales tax rate is 7%. How much did he pay in tax? Well, in this case, we are going to be saying, I know the percentage is 7% times the whole. Well, the entire car cost $8,500. I want to know the part that I would have to pay for tax, which means I'm going to turn this into a decimal, 0.07, multiply it by 8,500, and realize that I will have to pay $595 in tax. That's how much tax would be on a car like that. Okay? So know which part of this you have in order to find the other one. Another one. The sales tax rate is 8.25%. What is the sales tax on $18.97? So what do you think? Should you use the decimal of 0.0825 or the fraction of 825 over 10,000 to solve this problem? I would say the decimal, because that is a very difficult fraction to work with. Okay, you can, of course, but it's a little bit easier to say, if I have my percent as a decimal of 0.0825 and multiply it by the whole, 1897, I'd rather work with that number to find my part, to find the tax on this rather than the fraction. When we do that, we see that our answer is, I'm going to pay, now round it to the nearest cent, $1.57 in tax. Okay, so think about which one is easiest to use, the fraction or the decimal. Let's think about this one. Shirts are on sale for 33 1/3% off the regular price. How much is saved on $24? So in this case, remember, we have a choice. Do I want to use the decimal 0.3 repeating? Or, since 33 1/3 is actually just the fraction 1/3, what would I do? Well, in this case, I would be taking 1/3 of $24. I would definitely rather find out that $1 off is $8 rather than trying to do everything with those decimals. Okay. Blanca correctly answered 23 of the 25 questions. What percent did she receive? Now in this case, I don't actually know the percentage, but I do know the whole is 25. The part is 23, so I could divide by 25 on each side to get that my percentage is, well, 23 divided by 25 is 0.92. So my percentage is 92%. Okay, a couple other examples. 6% of $4,500 is how much money? So I'm going to say 6% 50% of 4,500. That means I'm going to do 0.06 times 4,500, which when I do that, I find that I get a part of $270. How much is a 15% tip on a bill of $13.25? Setting it up the same way, I'm going to do 0.15 times $13.25, which means the tip that I'm going to leave is $1.99. Okay? Remember, always round to the nearest cent because that's how our money system works. Okay? 20% of what number is 40? Okay? So if we're talking about 20% of a certain number, so 20% of the whole is 40, that means that I'm going to take 0.2 multiplied by our whole is 40, so I divide by 0.2. So 40 divided by 0.2 gives me 200. The whole that I have is 200. And how much money is 16 2/3% of $1,200? Well, 16, this is an interesting one. 16 2/3%, that's like saying 0.16 repeating. That's our decimal form of 16 2/3%. I don't really want to multiply that by 1,200. Maybe there's a fraction, and we see, yeah, 1/6 is actually the same as 0.16 repeating. So 1/6 of $1,200, well, that's pretty easy. That's just $200. So think about the fractional form and if that can be easier for you. Okay, and just one more example for you. You can try this out. What percent of 50 is 32? We have the whole and part, so figure out the percentage. Hint, it's 64%. Okay, and Chemo paid $24 for the shirt, which was 75% of the regular price. What was the regular price? That means we're looking for the whole. We're saying 75% times the whole is equal to 24. So solve for W. Well, I hope this is helpful for your homework and for studying.